Good evening, everybody, and welcome. I'd like to call this Monday, June 26, 2023 meeting of the Lake County School Board to order. We'll go ahead and start this off this evening with a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would, please rise for those. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, well, once again, welcome. Not a lot of folks in the audience, but we do have somebody special to celebrate tonight, so we'll get to that a little bit in our agenda. But first off, Superintendent, do we have any additions, changes, deletions, amendments?
We do. We have several this evening. The agenda was revised June 21st, 2023, with the chairman's permission to add items 8.08 and 11.02, and remove items 10.07 and 10.08, and revise items 8.05 and 8.07. Item 9.01 had a revised attachment added today, and the board has been provided a copy. Item 10.07 is to be pulled, and item 11.01 was pulled for no action this evening and will be coming back to you at a later date. And there was a fiscal impact correction to item 8.08 today, and the board has been provided a copy of that one as well.
All right, excellent. Thank you for all those updates. Board members, do you have any items that you'd like to pull for separate consideration tonight?
8.05.
8.05, all righty. Excellent. Any others? All right. Well, that being said, let's approve some minutes.
All right, I recommend approval of the minutes from the regular school board meeting, June 12th, 2023.
All right, there's a recommendation from the superintendent. A motion by Bill and a second by? Second by Molly. Thank you very much. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously, 5-0. I don't have any public input cards here tonight, so we'll move straight into, well, actually, that would have come after representation anyway. But I see Mr. Hogan in the crowd today for somebody special for us to recognize. Take it away.
Good evening, Superintendent, School Board, and parents. Tonight we'd like to recognize the first individual track state champion ever from Lake Minneola High School, a young man by the name of Kai Evans. We've got Coach Sharon Isom here also. Several things about Kai that are really outstanding. He is the #1 ranked 400-meter hurdler who's a 10th grader nationally in the United States, which is amazing. Kai was a state qualifier in the 100-meter. He was a state qualifier in the 200-meter. Kai was the 3A state champion in the 400-meter hurdles, which he's getting his award for tonight. And also, a week ago Friday, he became a national champion in the 400-meter hurdles with a time of 51:44 to win the New Balance national meet in Philadelphia. This is the fastest time ever by a Florida 10th grader. Let's give him a round of applause.
Congratulations, and I see you've got a lot of proud folks in the audience today. Mr. Roberts, you're newly very proud principal of Lake Minneola High School. It disoriented me a little bit when you walked in with that color shirt, but welcome. Thank you for being here. And who are these other special guests of yours? You have parents or coaches? Excellent. Thank you for being here to support him. Now, normally we like the opportunity to congratulate you individually. Sounds like you could probably just jump over the dais here to get back. But if you choose not to do that, there's a little gate here. Congratulations. That sounds amazing. Well done.
Congratulations. Outstanding. Well done.
Good job. Well done, well done. All right, as I was mentioning, I don't have any public input cards, so we'll jump straight into our attorney's report. Just sitting in for Mr. Myers tonight.
One issue for the board, we'd like your guidance on some ongoing litigation that we have. In order to do that under Florida statute 286.011 subsection 8, I have to, and I'm required to request your permission to schedule a closed-door session and coordinate that session with your schedules. Is there a consensus from the board on that?
Yes.
Yeah, sounds like everybody wants to do that.
That's all I needed.
How about July 3rd, Monday? We often have that morning available. Does that work for all of you?
It was the 28th.
Third.
Is that,
Third.
when are we going to do it?
Monday, July the 3rd? Would that work?
It's fine.
What do you think, like 9:30? Typical workshop time?
Yeah.
That work for you all?
We'll get that scheduled, yes.
All right,
it does.
excellent. And not specific to you, but could we piggyback the collective bargaining session?
Yes, that's the plan.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, excellent. Looks like we're already on the consent agenda.
We are. I recommend approval of items 8.01 to 8.04 and 8.06 to 1010.
So moved.
Second.
One of those 10 points was pulled for no action, is that right?
Yes, I pulled the one that Mr. Brandyberg had asked that we pull. I think the others had already been,
Then 10:07 was the other one for no action, is that right?
It was revised.
it was revised. The agenda was revised, add items 8 and 11:02, and remove items 10.07 and 10.08. I don't believe that those, I'm going to have to ask Ms. Challenger if you could please look at those items, because I don't believe either of those should have been removed.
10.07 is being pulled for no action. And 10.08 is fine on the agenda as far as I know.
Okay.
All right.
I'm
I see
seeing,
lots
I'm
of
seeing nods, including 10.07. Okay, yes, all right.
10.07 is out, 10.08 is in. And
Okay.
we have one item for separate consideration from Mr. Brandyberg down there, 8.05.
All right, so it's only 10.07,
So
so
moved.
Okay, there's the,
we're removing 10.07.
very good. We got a motion and a second, and any questions or comments before we vote on that? All right, not seeing any, let's put it to vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That's 5-0, and we'll go back for 8.05, and I bet I can guess why you've pulled for this one for separate consideration.
Yeah, not a lot here. Just wanted to ask a couple questions of Alliant. I want to start by saying I think they did a masterful job putting this together. Navigating this marketplace is no easy feat, and I think the proposal they've brought back is very competitive and one that's worth moving forward on. Just had a couple questions as to the policy language itself. Rob, if you can come up, please.
Hi, good evening, how are you?
Good. How are y'all doing?
Living the dream. This is Tyler, Tyler, this is Taylor.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
Good deal. Couple quick ones. One was on the property exposure itself. I know we just went through the appraisal last year with the pooled program at about 1.275 billion, if I remember correctly. And now we're at about 1.5 billion and change. I know we needed to add Aurelia Coal for probably about 50, but just trying to figure out where the other 200-ish came from.
So we had two different approaches for the renewal. One was with your incumbent program, and one was sort of an open market type alternative program. And with the incumbent program, we started with the same exposure basis, but in order to kind of get some premium relief, it's more of a blanket light type coverage. So we pulled some of the mobile classrooms, property in the open, bleachers, things like that might not be damaged in the event of a storm out in an effort to kind of bring the premiums down.
Sure.
Where the alternative program, we have a little bit more blanket coverage, so we get the benefit of reporting those values with broader coverages, greater sublimits and coverage in that regard. So it was sort of a philosophical decision to kind of report the full schedule of values to the alternative program. So that's the reason for that.
So if I understand that correctly, we put some of the stuff that was removed back in because we've got more advantageous coverage now, and then also added Aurelia Coal and some of the other normal stuff that needed to be added.
Exactly.
Okay. I think that's reasonable. My only follow-up on that would be, question two, and this is the end of it. Can you briefly go over just a deductible versus retention?
The short answer there is it's almost semantics
Yeah.
rather than anything else. I think if the textbook definition is deductible, it has to do with the insurance company is doing the adjustment of the loss, and then they give you the amount minus your deductible. They deduct it from the amount they give you. Whereas self-insured retention, you pay that amount up front. You're involved in the claims adjustment process, and then at the end of the day, it's the same amount. It's just kind of again, semantics of
Sure.
which order things go in and how you're involved in the adjustment process.
Understood. So is our program, you guys are proposing a deductible or a retention?
It is an SI, self-insured retention.
Okay, because the only reason I ask is page 19 in the proposal just looks to be a plain Jane deductible all day long, and that's a lot more advantageous if that's what's on the table. So it is a self-insured retention.
We'll clean that up.
All good. And then, so who's going to adjudicate those claims under $100,000?
So right now, Crawford is the named loss adjuster in the policy. We see them on several of the other programs we work on in the state of Florida. We can easily amend that with the consent of the panel of insurers, along with collaborating with Rob to other vendors that we have a good relationship with. So sometimes that takes a full RFP process where the carriers on our panel have sort of already approved Crawford, and we knew that they'd be approved going down this route. But if that's something we want to vet out, set up interviews, so the costs are actually paid by the marketplace, so it wouldn't come from Lake County necessarily.
Okay.
But it's more of just who you have a better rapport with, communication style, things of that nature. So
Okay.
that's something we can certainly kind of look to get involved in and kind of stack hands on going forward.
Yeah, because when I talked to Rob the other day, it sounded like the TPA we've got on the casualty side, we enjoy
Right.
working with, and if we can streamline that in,
We actually,
it'd be ideal.
we actually had that discussion on Thursday this
Perfect.
past week. So that's definitely in the works and being contemplated.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm good with everything else. I'm still a little hesitant on the exposure, adding that additional 200-ish million. I mean, I'm just doing quick math, and that's a pretty decent percentage of additional. I get we've got some more advantageous coverage in certain places, but I mean, I don't see much happening to stadium bleachers. Some of those older portables, I don't know what they're worth anyway in the grand scheme of things. If that decision's been made, I'm not going to muddy the water on it, but it just seems like it may generate some decent premium savings to offset this market.
Just a little bit more context on that. So we had the full appraisal report that did total to that 1.5 million figure.
Yep.
So presenting that from a third party to the marketplace, in addition to getting you the additional coverages and increased sublimits, they also refrain from adding adverse coverage. So there's things known as margin clauses where 100% margin clause, you can only recover up to the amount that's listed on the SOV, or occurrence limit of liability endorsement, similar function, just different nomenclature. And by kind of that goodwill in presenting the full appraisal report, you avoid any of those things being added in addition to kind of getting the benefit of the enhanced coverage on top of that. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah. So do we have full blanket coverage
Yes.
on this proposal?
Yes.
Okay. All right. No, that answered most of them. It was just that deductible versus retention was
Yep.
what was the sticking point for me. But I appreciate it.
Of
Thank you.
course. Yeah, thank you.
Sir?
Yes, sir. Unless anybody else has anything.
Anybody else?
The fun world of insurance.
All right, I think we're ready for your recommendation. Superintendent?
All right, I recommend approval of item 8.05, property insurance renewal.
There's the recommendation.
So moved.
Motion by Tyler, second by Bill. Any other questions or comments, discussion before we vote? Not seeing any, let's put it to a vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carries 5-0. Let's see. 11.01, we pulled for no action tonight, so I think that brings us to 11.02, the superintendent's evaluation.
Me again. So it's that time of the year where superintendent's evaluations are sent out, and the board reviews them and scores them. There are two parts to the evaluation. The first deals with the relationship between the superintendent and the board. There's 5 different standards that's looked at through. Maximum score of 375 points, and out of that, the superintendent received 371 this year. The second part of the evaluation relates to objective standards and student performance. The maximum there, believe it or not, is 2.0, an average of 2.0, and the superintendent received the maximum score of 2.0. So at this point, I submit them to the board for their approval of calculation of the scores.
All right. Just a quick question. I wonder if we might clarify, I don't know if it occurs on the documentation that is on board docs or the board docs description itself, but I didn't, the board docs description has some background history on the 3.0, or the 3.0 scale, but it doesn't clarify that the other portion is only a 2.0 scale. So when you flip to her page and you see a bunch of 2.0s, you're like, uh-oh, not doing so great. But really, that was the max score. So I don't know if that occurs on that document itself, but I didn't see it listed there.
It shows that it's the maximum, but you're right, it is, in effect, the 2.0 is the maximum score that you can
Right,
receive.
right. Yeah. So, I don't know. We need to
Could there
update.
be a notation showing that 2.0 is the maximum score? I think the concern is that someone in the public reading it
Yeah.
may think that it's a negative versus
We
a
can-
very positive score.
We can add that notation to it,
Okay. Yeah, I think that'd be helpful.
so.
And maybe also in the board docs description, in the background and rationale, it explains all about part one and how those points are compiled, but it doesn't explain part two. And so that's where I was nervous.
Gotcha.
It doesn't. Strong.
Well, would you like us to make that amendment to it and then resubmit it?
No, I don't think we need to resubmit. I think we can go ahead and approve it tonight.
All right.
Perfect. Y'all agree with that?
100%.
Okay. All right. So, I guess it's awkward for you to make a recommendation to approve your own evaluation,
Yes.
right? So, is there a motion from the
I'm
board?
happy to.
To make a motion, we accept the evaluation.
So moved.
Thank you. There's a motion by Bill and a second by Stephanie. Any other questions or comments before we vote on?
If, I should probably make this comment now. Certainly, I support it. She got a perfect score on mine. She got 371 out of 375 altogether, and I think that's very, very well-deserved for the work that's been done. I think it's appropriate now to consider looking at either a possible contract extension or looking at compensation. I think the board before me and the board since me has been very mindful about addressing everyone in this district except for one. And I think it clearly shows in the review that she's earned this, and think it's worth a conversation on what that looks like, looking at other data, and just making sure that she knows that how much we appreciate her and how much we need her. We went over the 61 out of 67 last meeting, so I'm not going to say that again, but we've got a great one here, and I want to keep her for a very long time, so I just want to say that now.
Agreed. How much time do you have left on your contract?
June of 2025. We've
Four
got,
if you're-
got 2 years.
Okay. Well, y'all interested in?
I mean, even just one more to get through the next election cycles. I mean, I don't want to get too far out to where we could all be ousted and then that future board can't make a decision. But at the same time, I'd like to extend her now if possible.
We make it a board agenda item to discuss or workshop item?
That sounds
Yeah.
good. Okay. We'll add that to our
Ms.
list of
Challenger
topics.
got that.
Very good.
All right.
Yeah. Any other comments before we vote? I think all the verbiage says it all. Encourage everybody in the public to go out and read the board member comments, because there's a lot of good ones there. All right, well then, let's put it to vote. All those in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, nay? That's 5-0. And I think that brings us to your report.
It does, and there were no letters of condolence since our last meeting, but it is a bittersweet evening, and I would be remiss if we didn't take a minute to celebrate and thank Miss Amy Cockcroft for her over 30 years of service to this amazing district, and I want to personally thank you for the year that I have gotten to spend alongside you, and thank you for making me laugh and for just making this such a pleasure. Even through the challenging times, you're just a wealth of knowledge and just so reflective, and I just really appreciate your wisdom, and I'm going to miss that. And on behalf of the board, if you wouldn't mind coming forward, I know they would like to congratulate you as well, and they have a small token of appreciation this evening for you. If you start down there, they don't have to carry it as far. This is for you, it is heavy, so hold it. So that was the bitter part, but tonight I do have the honor and privilege of introducing to you our new Assistant Superintendent for Teaching, Learning, and Leadership, Mr. Scott Flowers. And so, Scott, I'm going to, if you don't mind, just take a minute and share. He had a very long bio, but I'm just going to tell you a little bit about him, and then allow you to say a few words, and if you don't mind, is that all right with you? So I did have to cut this back a little bit because it's a very impressive resume, but he holds a master's degree in educational leadership from the University of South Florida and a bachelor's degree from LSU. Ooh.
Go Gators baseball very well.
And yeah, I was going to say, this is a perfect time as 7 o'clock rolls around that we
Last of this
say
resume,
go
let's
Gators, right? He began his career in education as an elementary music teacher in Brevard County, and he's taught all levels, grades K through 12. Prior to accepting the role of assistant superintendent with us, he served as the chief of staff for teaching, leading, and learning with the school district of Osceola County. And to increase student performance, address learning recovery, and strengthen core curriculum, he utilized a system of program evaluation and progress monitoring tools to increase student success. And this conversation with him around program evaluation, I know, is one that the board has been extremely interested in, so I'm anxious for us to get into that work under his leadership. He has also served as the Chief Academic Officer for Acceleration Academies, a nationally recognized dropout re-engagement program, and also worked as the Chief Academic Officer and Director of Curriculum Instruction for Allendale County Schools in South Carolina. He has been a teacher and a principal, to include principal of my alma mater, Terry Parker High School in Jacksonville. Small world. And I'm very privileged tonight and excited to welcome you, Mr. Flowers, to Lake County, and your wealth of experience and your prior success and passion is something that we're all going to learn and benefit from. So at this time, if you just want to say hello and let them put a name and face together. And
thank you, Superintendent Cornegay and board members. I'm really excited about this opportunity, and I've been greeted with a warm welcome and really enjoyed the administrative retreat that we had a couple of weeks ago, and then I got the world tour today with Amy, and I'm just really excited about the possibilities, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Scott. Welcome.
all right, and with that, I will end my comments.
All right, okay, very good. Well, let's go down the line and see if board members have some
No comments.
No comments from Bill?
I'm good tonight.
From Tyler?
Likewise.
Oh, wow.
Well, I guess I better
All
say
right, Molly.
something. Good evening. I actually don't have anything, but I would like to welcome our new assistant superintendent, and I'd like to bid a fond farewell to Ms. Cockcroft. We'll miss you, but you have a whole new life ahead of you. You're going to enjoy it. But, sir, we're looking forward to working with you. Welcome.
All right. Excellent. Bill, thanks for filling in a couple weeks ago when I was out of town. I watched the meeting back. You did an okay job.
Thank you.
Good job. Didn't realize it was your birthday. But what a special birthday treat, right?
Exactly.
Too bad there wasn't a gift receipt with that present. But no, thanks for filling in, and we've sorted out the executive session. So just final comments of great gratitude and thanks to you, Amy. I remember when I was first elected, I had a chance to come walk some schools, and the moment we stood on the top of a very windy hill, at the time, man, the breeze is just blowing in, and just like, that's where we get the name. I knew that I was standing in the presence of such incredible talent, and I've always looked to you as a great leader and admired that leadership, and I've just been so excited to have gotten to know you also on a personal level and cheering for those Gators out in the stands at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium from time to time. So wish you all the best in retirement, and thank you for the legacy that you've left this district. One of the honors, I've had a chance to experience as chairman is getting a chance to pass along the gavel to somebody extra special who happens to be retiring to adjourn the meeting out. And so I'd like to extend that to you. So if you would come on up, I'd like to have you adjourn tonight's meeting for us. Congratulations again. There you are. It's all yours.
Go Gators, make sure you put it in there.
Meeting adjourned.